amendment at the desk, Zeldin number 16.
The clerk will designate the amendment.
Amendment number 9, printed in House Report number 115-786, offered by Mr. Zeldin of New York.
Pursuant to House Resolution 965, the gentleman from New York, Mr. Zeldin, and a member opposed, each will control 5 minutes. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from New York.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My amendment to H.R. 200 will provide needed regulatory relief to fishermen from the east end of Long Island and the entire region who are struggling under confusing and arbitrary federal restrictions on striped bass fishing in the Block Island Sound. The unique maritime geography of our region means that making the 15-mile journey by boat from Montauk Point, New York to Block Island, Rhode Island requires passing through a segment of waters considered to be part of the EEZ, known as the Block Island Transit Zone. For recreational anglers, charter boat captains, and commercial fishermen, this shift in jurisdiction can mean the difference between a nice day on the water and committing a federal offense. My amendment would permanently restore the right to fish for striped bass in this waterway, ending decades of confusion and arbitrary punishment for local fishermen. These are hardworking men and women who run small businesses, either on the commercial, charter, or recreational side. And in my district, they are the backbone of our coastal economy and part of our island's way of life. No other species of fish besides striped bass are subject to this confusing ban, which was meant to impact the high seas of the EEZ, not a small segment of local waters situated between two state boundaries. Fishermen should be able to legally fish for striped bass in this limited area just as they currently can in adjacent state waters. We also must lift this unfair ban so that the resources of the U.S. Coast Guard can be focused on their important national security and safety mission, not wasted on the enforcement of an arbitrary ban in a small waterway. A recreational angler or a boat captain on the water off of Montauk Point can easily go from fishing legally and responsibly in state waters to violating federal law once they pass over the 3-mile limit where New York state waters end and the transit zone begins. Many of these individuals lack the expensive GPS technology to know if and when they have crossed the boundary, and there are no buoys to warn them. These are responsible men and women who have the greatest vested interest in preserving the striped bass fishery, but they also desperately need relief from confusing government regulations that are hurting their livelihoods and access to local fisheries. Last Congress, my standalone bill to address this issue, H.R. 3070, the EEZ Clarification Act, passed this House with a unanimous vote. I also passed 2 similar amendments on this topic through the House last September, again with unanimous support. This amendment is supported by the Recreational and Fishing Alliance, Long Island Commercial Fishing Association, Montauk Boatmen and Captains Association, and newly formed New York Recreational and For-Hire Fishing Alliance. On behalf of the hardworking men and women of Long Island who rely on fishing as a way of life, I ask for all my colleagues' support in this common sense amendment. Thank you, and I reserve the balance of my time.